Hey everyone, Cahlen here, and in this video I'm going to be showing you the current backpack setup that I use. Now, I have been using this specific backpack for probably close to a year at this point. I do have another backpack which has a little bit more space and is a little more heavy duty and more comfortable to wear when having heavy loads, which is the Osprey Rook 65, which is actually what I recommend to people who are just getting started with this or want to make sure that they're able to carry all their stuff. I've had a lot of time living outside to figure out what I need and what I don't need, and so I'm basically going for an ultralight pack situation. So again, that's not going to be for most people, but I am just showing you right now what I do for myself. So this is the Granite Gear. I believe it's the Crown 2. There's multiple versions at this point. I think they may be on the Crown 4 at this point. But this is a really nice lightweight bag, which a friend of mine recommended. And when I first got it, I didn't like it at first, but now I'm like, this bag is totally perfect for what I'm going for. So one of the nice things is that it has a lot of customizability. There's lots of things that you can take off or use in different ways. For example, this top here, which holds all of my soft clothes, I can take this off and basically not even have it as part of my pack, and I'm going to get a lot of weight savings. There's also a hip pouch which you can take off to get the biggest weight savings, and there's also a rigid internal frame which I'll show you, which you can take out, which also reduces weight. So you can get this thing to be very, very extremely lightweight. But I found that this top thing is super useful because I not only use it for storing all my soft clothes, but I use it as my pillow at night, and also as kind of my, I think they call it a Zafu in Zen. I can't remember, it's been a long time since I was doing that type of stuff, but basically a sitting cushion, okay? So this thing is really useful, and so I keep it with it, and it's not very heavy, so I'm, removing it from the pack wouldn't really save me a whole lot of weight. Then the internal frame, I also am keeping that because the benefits of that are worth the very, very small amount of weight that it adds. And then the thing that's different about this pack, which I'm going to show you, maybe, I don't know how well you can see, but basically I'll show you in a second. There's a hip pouch, hip belt. Here's the actual hip belt, which it comes with, and it has this Velcro, so you can un-Velcro this and adjust it, so basically it will work on different sizes of waists, is the idea there. This thing, removing this saves you a lot of weight, and normally, like if someone was removing that, they just wouldn't replace it with anything, but what I'm doing is I'm taking basically a battle belt, which has lots of molle attachments, which is the way that you can attach different types of containers and gear to your pouch, to your backpacks, or other types of things like the back seat of your car and stuff like that. So basically it allows me to put on lots of different containers for different types of things, which I want to be able to have right here at my hip belt, ready for me to use at any moment. Okay, so let's take a look at kind of just the outside like features more closely, and then we'll look at the belt pouch, and then we'll go inside and look at what's in there. Okay, there it is leaning up against the tree. You can see the battle belt coming off the side here. Again, we'll look more closely at this. Lots of different attachments. It has side pouches on each side, which are fairly bulky and have basically a strap which you can tighten to tighten something in to keep it from coming out. It also has a little thing, a latch, right, to help hold things in that are maybe taller. So this is my Special Forces shovel, which is useful for a lot of things. I also can keep my fishing rod, though I generally don't carry that with me. The tripod, which I'm using at the moment, and also my wizard staff can come apart and fit into this little slot over here. And also, if I was using my stove, I could put my stove there, and also another food container on this side in the other pouch. And also you can just put your water bottles and stuff like that. Then it's got a kind of a mesh fabric here, where you basically a big pocket where you can slide things, and this is where I put my sleeping mat, kind of my custom sleeping mat. And then we'll take a look at the top pouch here. So see, it has these little latches, and if you take both of the latches off, then you can swing it back and access the top, and it'll still stay attached because it's got other latches here, but you can take those latches off too and remove it completely. And on top, it has basically one of these roll down and then latch type things. So we'll go in there in a second. Okay, this is what the part that's kind of touching your back looks like. Try not to get in the way of the sun here. These straps are pretty nice, though when you start getting up towards 30 pounds, they are not quite, you know, padded enough, and it will start to eat into your shoulder. But the idea here is to keep very lightweight. This is a really nice, lightweight, cushy material, which is also, like, when you take the internal frame out, it actually bends pretty nicely. It's very flexible. And then you can see this is where the original belt pouch usually goes in, and there's some Velcro in here, which that Velcro on that belt attaches to. And instead, I just put in my Special Forces, well, not Special Forces, my battle belt, and then I attach all these other things. So let me flip this over and we'll look at each of these. Okay, we'll look at this side first. So on this part of the belt this is basically where I keep my phone, which I'm using at the moment. Slides in there, and also it's got several compartments for various different things like credit cards, though I don't have anything like that. Then here is a nice belt pouch, a knife sheath, which works really well with the molle attachment. And also you can take this thing off. I won't do it right now. You can just take this thing off and it will still stay sheathed. You can carry it separately if you are going without your bag. Then I have another longer pouch which holds my titanium crowbar, and also this thing's usually a little harder to get out. It is a silky folding saw for cutting wood. And then I have a container which holds my titanium water bottle, and also has a cinching little thing here so that if I were to hang upside down, it's not going to fall out. Okay, so this would be on the right side. And so right here we have, basically this is all one piece, 2 pouches on it. These would be normally used for like clips for your pistol or your rifle, but I put my chlorine dioxide containers in here. So one is sodium chloride and one is hydrochloric acid, which I mix to make chlorine dioxide. Then I have my pistol or revolver here. And I used to have my phone pouch here. I liked it over here, but I realized that, you know, if I reach for my phone all the time, and I don't want to make anyone think that maybe I'm reaching for this, so I thought it would be better to put this together with it, right? Because I very rarely will reach for this, and often there's no one around me when I'm reaching for this, so I don't get any, you know, people confused about what my intentions are. Then on this side, I have, similar to the water bottle, another little container, a pouch, which holds it also cinches up. This is basically my oil bottle, which usually has avocado oil and sometimes other types of oil in it. So when I list this on my website, I'm going to list it the same as this one. They're not actually the same, but this came with another thing, and there's not really any way for me to list for you to be able to get this pouch, but that pouch would work just as well and will fit right here as well. Okay, so now we're going to go inside and see what I usually put in here. Not everything's in here. Like, for example, I didn't want to take my shelter down and the rapid ridge line, but that's pretty much the only thing that's going to be missing. So I have these, someone sent me these cool little plastic vials. This is my adaptogenic mix, which is Eleuthero, rhodiola, and Schisandra. I have a video about that. This is my headlamp, rechargeable with USB. This is my methylene blue containers. This is my, this is a mix of magnesium, potassium, what's that called? Baking soda, basically, sodium bicarbonate, I think, and then also just normal table salt. Okay, so I mix these things. So I have a chocolate mix, which is basically what I eat. And I would almost always have these things in it, especially if I'm having it in the morning, but I don't always want that because this is going to get me all amped up. So if I want to drink hot chocolate at night, I wouldn't want this in it. And also this, you want to be able to have a control of the number of the amount of salt that you're getting into your body. So I keep them separate and add them basically on how I feel depending when I'm having my hot chocolate. Okay, so here's my fleece jacket, which is like honestly one of the heaviest things because it contains a lot of pockets which have lots of different lots of my other gear, but we won't go into that in this video. Then this is basically a cover for the backpack when I'm wearing it and it starts to rain, or if, because when I'm sleeping underneath my poncho, there's not really enough area for me to keep myself dry and my backpack dry, so I need to have this thing on it because part of the backpack is going to be getting a little bit wet. Then this was also right there. This is the pouch that holds the rapid ridgeline and all the little stakes and stuff like that. And I have a USB cable for my solar charger, which we'll see. This is it's basically a dry sack, but I keep my hot chocolate mix in it, and basically I've got only one serving left in here. I need to mix up a new batch, so this is pretty much empty, but this can hold at least 2 weeks of food in it, maybe even more if I'm being careful. Here is my summer sleeping bag and winter coat. Depending on how you zip it, it can be either one. It's the Spagman's roll. Here is med kit. Here is some nylon sewing thread, which is very, very useful. And you don't want cotton because it'll rot. This is a little container full of activated charcoal for brushing my teeth and for if I get food poisoning. Then basically, maybe we won't pull all of this out, but this is going to be my winter quilt. And then below that is going to be my bivy sack, which is going to go over all my sleeping situation to keep me dry, because my feet are going to be sticking out, right? So I need my bag to not be getting soaking wet. Okay, so this part is a little bit harder to show you. I did pull out everything. I just needed 2 hands to do it. So inside, once you've got everything out, inside is along the back is a zipper compartment, which you can stuff a bunch of stuff in. So I have a 2-liter water bottle, which is extremely lightweight when it's empty. And then this is my solar panel, my folding solar panel, so I keep that there. And then this white thing is the frame, right? And again, it is nice to take it out because it does reduce the weight a tiny, tiny bit, but it's just so nice to have the rigid back that I just basically always keep it in there. So that's the backpack setup that I'm using these days. It's actually very comfortable, assuming I don't pack it with too much weight, and usually that weight comes from water or from food, right? So if I'm going for a long journey and I need to carry both the water and the food with me, then the bag can start to get a little bit heavy. So but generally, this setup can take me down to, I call it kind of a 3-season setup, or maybe 3-season plus. It can take me down to about 15 degrees Fahrenheit, which is, kind of the average temperature of winter around here where I am. Sometimes it does get about 15 to 25 degrees colder than that. And in that situation, then I would need to add another full backpack in order to stay warm at night. So this isn't something that I would necessarily be taking with me on a 4-season journey, and definitely not into any alpine snowy areas during the middle of the winter. So keep that in mind. It would be easier to get closer to something like that with the Rook. So even if you have already optimized the type of gear you had, and you don't really need all the extra room in the Rook and the ability to carry heavy weight, it may be nice because it can give you the ability to stuff enough stuff in there to actually have a 4-season backpack. But I have my solar electric bike, which I can carry extra stuff on, and that's basically where I will keep my extra sleeping bag for that type of situation. So I don't consider it something that I need to carry with me all the time. So when it gets that cold, generally I'm going to be, settled down in one place and kind of just hunkering down. So anyways, that's the backpack situation. I'm going to have all those different parts, at least the containers, the belt, and the different pouches on it and stuff like that, listed below this video. Not so much all the individual gear. You can find all of that other gear at cahlen.org/gear, where I list all the other stuff. So anyways, hope that's useful, and I'll see you guys later.